Okay, guys. All right. So we're live at Bank of England Mortgage here in the Houston branch. This is
What up?
this is our top producing loan officer team. They actually went to BOE conference in Vegas this last week. All right. So we're live. And so anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna talk about some of the ideas and some of the things y'all took away from it. To the left, we have Mark, or I guess it would be to your right, but Mark, wave your hand so everyone can see that. We have Danny, we have Jason, and we have Steven. All right, so guys, tell me about the experience. How was it? Come.
Man, it's fun. Who's going first? Somebody pick.
Go ahead, Stewie.
All right.
So we're live.
Do we want to wait for that?
No, that's fine. We're not going to do that.
Yeah, the whole trip we got to meet a bunch of the kind of big dogs in the company. We got to meet the owner, the vice president, branch managers from all different branches around the country, top producing loan officers. We met some of the other people like head underwriters, head of marketing, people that just play different roles in the company, which at least for me, I think it helped give just an idea of like there's people behind this. I mean, sometimes I think I'm like, oh, we have underwriters, but in my mind they're just little elves. Like you don't see them, you don't even know if they really exist. You know, you're like, we're submitting this to whoever. So seeing people that are actually behind the scenes, pulling the strings, running things, people that have been in the company for years that got really helped it get set up and get it up and running, and talking to them and seeing what they started out doing, what they transitioned to do, how they got up and running, what their models are, even just listening to individuals, because there's a lot of different models I think within the company.
Right.
Like I talked to a lot of different people and I was like, how do you even get your business? How do you go about doing things? And I would talk to one person, he'd give me all these details and insight, and I would learn from them, and I go to someone else and they have something that's a little different, and you could learn from them as well and figure out, okay, what can I take back home, what can I apply? So I got a lot out of it.
Okay. What about you, Danny, Jason?
Yeah, it was a good experience. We all had fun. We got to, like Mark said, we got to meet a bunch of people, see how they, ran stuff behind the scenes. It gave us really good insight on how to improve our production, how to improve our, efficiency, and what kind of tips and tricks that we could include, in our daily activities to, help boost our goals and boost our numbers. But it was a big learning experience. Everything aside, I think it was very humbling experience.
Yeah.
It was a very humbling experience, and I kind of I got to see what the real top guys are making out there. But it just give me that drive to do better, to produce more, to reach my goals. So.
What about you, Jason?
It's definitely interesting. When you're in your I guess your safe zone, but when you get to a place where you're exposed to not just the industry but your own company, and you have guys that are in your same company, man, that look like you, talk like you, that are doing $50 million in production, man. $48 million in production. Last place they did top 15. I think the guy was doing $19, $20 million a year in production, and so you realize how small. How small you act in a company that's actually have top producers that are doing big things, making $300,000 a year, $500,000 a year, $900,000 to $1 million a year, and these are just LOs. You know what I mean? We're not even talking about the branch manager stage, but I think one of the things that excited me is what Mark talked about is actually meeting the head of underwriting, head of marketing, and closing, and that they knew who you were. Mm-hmm. They knew you from your pictures and things like that. So I think that's very. There's a huge advantage that we're in a smaller size company, a medium company that can handle production, but that is small enough where you can form a relationship with the people that are actually going through your loans, and you put a face to a name, and they put a face to your picture, and be able to shake your hands. And so it was definitely eye-opening. My goals have been stretched. I definitely realized there are some things that I need to improve upon, and there are some things that as a unit that we can become better, and there's some things that we learned that we can bring to the team, man, because being able to see guys that have been working together 3 to 5 years, man, it's something special about having that camaraderie. You know what I mean? Guys that you can lean on, guys that you know that are making money, And so you're not looking for somebody outside the office to pull on. You're motivated by the guys that you're working with every day in your same city, you know, in your same office. So, you know, I think all of our goals have definitely been stretched.
Yeah.
You know, Steve.
No, yeah, I
Steve,
think the big thing was that, you know, we always heard about these big time producers, but seeing them, you know, sitting right next to us, it kind of stretched our ceiling or pushed our ceiling, because now we're, instead of saying, yeah, I have to hit that 1 million, and eventually I'm going to hit that 2 million, you're seeing people who are, you know, like 5 years out of college who are hitting, you know, $59 million a year. And so, and yeah, $59 million a year. So that's something that really got all of us to, you know, to really look back on and seeing what our model's like, what their model's like, what we can do different, and essentially just how can we make our whole system and the way that we do business as a company and as individuals a lot better.
All right, now that's good. One thing you guys all seem to mention, goals being stretched and I guess streamlining certain things and pushing those goals. Any example or any type of tool that maybe you talk to some of the top producing guys there that specifically that you might want to elaborate on, something that made them that helped them generate that type
Well, I
of...
think they just took massive action, man. I mean, you know,
What's massive action?
They, you know, obviously we have a unique system here, but one of the things that they've done, I told Mark, you know, he's focusing on getting 2 realtors a month, 2 new realtors a month, but he's calling, what, 15, 20 a day?
Well, you know, he tries to set up, like he tries to have, you know, at least meetings with 3 people a day.
You know? And so when you have meetings with 3 realtors a day, I think there's just something special, man, you know, to where when people are intimate. I don't care what nobody says. People are intimate. They want to see that you're real, that they can touch you, they can see you. And I think with realtor relationships, man, loyalty is the biggest thing. Loyalty and can you get my business done? They're more loyal to the close, not loyal to you. And so, you know, those are things to where we have to become more efficient individually and make sure that we're well versed in how to package a deal. If there's really a deal there, can we deliver on our promises, you know? And so that's really what it is just becoming more efficient. That seems to be the word, more efficient in what we do, man, because we can close loans in 14 days. We can close loans in 21 days. But can we do that so consistently where we're like every other week or every week we got a new close?
Well, and that's another thing is we saw the manpower that this company has.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times, like Mark was saying, we didn't really put a face to a name. They were almost like clouds of dust to us that would, you know, that our loans would be sent out to, and they would accept it or push it back. But meeting these people, and not only meeting the people behind the scenes, but also the people in the same position, and their loans are going through a lot quicker, and it just puts a lot more on us saying, hey, you know, if we need to close a loan in 2 weeks, we have the capabilities of doing that. But we just need to fix the way that we're, you know, necessarily doing things over here.
Right. No, that's good. That's really good. So y'all mentioned realtors and you know, filling up a meeting. One thing that obviously we're learning through our sales training is sometimes it's even good to even double book, because statistics show that one person may drop off. You want to have the problem where you don't have enough schedule time and not have too much schedule time. So, I mean, what's it going to be for you guys? Do y'all have a number of how many? Have y'all determined that? Yeah, I know y'all have only been back for a few days, but how many realtors or how many people y'all want to prospect a day?
50 plus, man.
Yeah.
I think the goal is to have 50 plus
50
realtors
plus.
Yeah, I mean the
on
guy,
your team.
the guy, I think it was Danny, right? He had
Top 3, right?
Yeah, top 3. He's one of the guys that, you know, 5 years out of college did 50 million or something like that. And I talked to him and I was like, you know, how many are you working with? You what?
He brought in $1 million himself.
$1 million?
Yeah.
That's right. How much he earned.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The income wise,
Yeah, and so I talked to him and I was like, you know, how many people are you working with, whatever. And he said he's got about 50 to 60 realtors that he works with. So he's got a select group of, you know, he doesn't have 200 realtors that are okay. You know, he's got people that over 5 years he's built up, and I've got about 50 or 60 people that I work with. And obviously some of them may fall out or you'll add new ones, but he doesn't have this, you know, he doesn't just like target anybody. He's got specific people, and if you've got 50 or 60 producing realtors, that you can provide really good service to, and they're going to want to keep using you. That's like residual income. I mean, if they're doing a deal, if they send you a deal a month, you know, and that's
50, 60
50,
deals a
60
month.
deals.
Yeah.
I mean that's a lot, you know, and
Yeah,
you
the
got
real
to
estate
be
gotta
really
get too.
streamlined because you can't mess those deals up. And that was another thing that just the focus on referrals and stuff and building up that base is. One guy, he said, you know, you go out and you prospect and you meet realtor, you meet people, and you don't want to work with everybody. He was like, you don't want to do that, but when you find someone that's good and they send you a deal or a test deal, he was like, you stop everything you're doing, you focus everything on making sure that one deal goes through.
Right.
That's
Because if
good.
that goes through well, then that could be 10 more deals that year. You know,
That's the key, man. I think that, like, it's funny because I think any of these guys heard me when I first kind of got going. It was like, man, I just need 20 realtors giving me one deal a month. 20 give me one deal a month. And I actually wrote down my list today, and I'm like at 20 realtors. And I said, okay, I got 20, and of these 20, I got probably about 5 or 10 that are actively, like, really doing business. Because every realtor ain't doing 5 or 6 deals a month. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I realized, okay, if I got 20, then I need to get that bad up to about 60, 80, maybe even 100, to where I know for a fact I got about 40 to 60 that's engaging every month. So that way, if 10 or 20 don't show up, that's one thing. But also another thing I'm realizing it is, why not be thinking like a realtor when we're fishing for our own clientele? Because it's not many loan officers that's calling realtors and saying, hey, I got this deal. Can you get it done for me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's kind of like having that two-edged sword that what I call trout fishing, man. You don't, traditional fishing, you know, you can only catch one fish at a time. But if you set that trout line up, when they're coming through that stream, man, you start snagging them, man. You just get more at one time, you know?
Yeah.
That's good. Steven, you're the top producer for this branch in January, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think statistically, just roughly, let's call it about 80% of what you closed in January was from realtors, right?
Yeah, it was around 60%.
Okay, 60%. Okay, so with that said, what you've done thus far, to become that top producer in for this last month, January, did you find anything that you did that could have probably boosted that up more so, or find that you were kind of coloring already within the lines? Anything specific?
Yeah, I mean, whenever a deal would come in from a new realtor, I would specifically go to Priscilliana, who's my assistant, or I'd go to the processor and say, hey, this is from a new realtor. We need to get this thing in as smoothly as possible. We need to push it. And so I was always on top of them, making sure that this was a very smooth process, especially for the realtor, not only for the client, but for the realtor themselves. That way, the realtor felt comfortable with working with us, and then they would send more deals our way. But looking back at it, one thing that I was doing is if I wasn't getting any business from a realtor in like 2 or 3 times after 2 or 3 meetings, I would move on. And what we found out with being in Vegas with all these other people is it would take about an average of 7 times meeting with the realtor until they would give you a 1 lead. And so that which made me go back to my list and say, okay, well, all these people who I met 2 or 3 times, I need to reach back out to them, contact them again, and get everybody up to those 7 contact attempts or contacts that we've had with each other, and before I move on.
And have every one of you guys met with a realtor in person? Have had to sit down?
Majority of my deals are realtor deals.
Okay, so with that said, we have a lot. We have a good portion of our staff that are looking up to you guys. Some new loan officers that will be looking at this video, and will be potentially making these meetings here fairly soon, even this week. What can they expect in the first, let's call it the first 1 to 3 meetings with the realtor? What should they expect? What should they anticipate? How should they break that out? Because you guys mentioned about 7 times, right? So what's happening just on average?
I'd say the truth is, man, they shouldn't even meet with a realtor until they know what the heck they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that they'll do more damage to their brand than good if they're not equipped as far as what the procedures are as far as doing a loan. I think you should do at least 1 or 2 loans, seeing it from the beginning to the end, to understand, okay, this is the process, then I can explain the process. You're not going to know the guidelines You're not gonna know everything up front.
Mm-hmm.
But what you do know is this: I tell people what I lack in some information, I make up in resilience and persistence. And so basically, I tell everybody, look, the client is the jockey. We're the horse. I got the strength, I got the power, I got the endurance. Sometimes I have to take over the race, but most of the time, the client controls the pace of the race. And if I'm the horse and I'm a championship winning horse, then if you want championship outcome, the jockey, the client themselves, or even the realtor have to be able to, okay, let's set the pace. And now I'm going to set the pace and I'm going to just take off.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but don't start me off slow. Let's start off fast and hit an attack. And I think that's how you have to do your training. You got to know what you're talking about. You got to attack it. You know what I mean? If you're not having a friggin' migraine your first week or two here, you ain't studying enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, and also, I mean, the realtors, they don't. We're experts in our field, and even when we first started out and all this information is being pushed to us, realtors don't know
Correct.
as much as we know. They usually want to know, what can we handle? So, what's the minimum credit score? How fast we can close? What kind of loan programs do we have? And the benefit with us is, we have a lot of specialty loan programs that other people don't have. And so, a realtor will look at us and say, well, this is a one-stop shop that a self-employed guy can go use a bank statement loan.
Mhm.
However, I'd rather just work with one person, so I'll just go ahead and send all my conventional and all my FHA clients over to him as well. That way, I'm not dealing with different lenders.
Correct.
So I can just call, essentially have a good relationship with one. And so, and then when they ask you a couple questions, I mean, they don't know. I mean, they don't really know much, but and so it's actually a very easy conversation. You usually just focus on getting to know them, what their goals are, what they like to do for 2017, and then you move forward from there.
Okay, no, that's good. So a few takeaways just to kind of bring this full circle. We'll wrap this up. Obviously, as where your goals are at, they've all been pushed. They've all been stretched, right? I guess we have a mutual agreement there. And then the key thing is just that persistency, mastering what you're selling, or the service you're providing, should I say. So the tip would be to the new people would be just study until like the back of your hand, if not better.
I would say study, implement.
Yeah.
Study, implement. Not study, but study, implement. Like Steve said, we got all these specialty programs, but if you can't even explain that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
then I mean, at least know how to explain. Okay, we can do 580 credit score. We do the traditional FHA, conventional USDA, but we also do bank statement loans, W-2 only, no docs. You know what I'm saying? So you got all these different things. If you can't explain that, then that's what you have to do: study and then implement it. Study, because once you implement it, that's how you really learn it.
Okay.
You know.
But also what speeds up the process and makes sure that your loan can close in 3 weeks is when you're studying specifically, and it's good to know the guidelines, but you also have to know how to structure a loan.
Yeah.
That's one thing that lacked for Danny and I when we came in, and when Josh sat the whole office down and showed everybody how to structure a loan, it took everything to a whole nother level, and
And that's
everything
what
was
accelerated me.
it accelerated everyone, and
That's it,
everybody
yeah.
started closing a lot
But
faster.
he did that sit down in what, like November?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
So,
I've
yeah.
been here a long time, and that was as soon as I did, I was like, oh, that changed. Like,
Like our production went up quite a bit right
Yeah.
after that. I mean, I got top producer December. You got
Mhm.
January,
Yeah.
and then Mark was up there.
And he was top 2,
Yeah.
top 3.
Yeah.
And I'm just creeping up behind these
Yeah,
fellas.
this guy's running up. Yeah.
So I guess internal input. We should brush up on that on structuring, which is a good thing to know. And then of course, last but not least, realtors. We just finished talking about them. There's a delicate balance between quantity and quality, and to really just focus on building up the numbers to allow you to really just laser focus in on the group that actually qualify as competent realtors, that there can be a mutual relationship where both parties are making plenty of money. And of course, and then there's always the most beneficial party is the client who's getting their dream home many times.
Well, let me share this at the end, man. I believe this changed our lives too, man. Because I watched these guys. when I came. I was smart enough to watch the guys that had been in the game. And I think Sprint did something where a few years ago they fired 1,000 of their customers because they found out there was the same 1,000 customers that were clogging up their lines all day, complaining. They wiped out their accounts. They paid everything off and said, hey, y'all are free. You're released from your contract because they found out 1,000 people were holding them back from servicing 55 million people. And I say that to say this: if you got clients that are not that taking too much of your time, you can fire your clients. You know, you can fire the realtors that are not really, you know, giving you good quality deals, because those deals that are not solid, they take up too much of your time and they cost you 2 or 3 deals. They cost you money.
Yes, opportunity cost.
Yeah, that's exactly what
if
it
they're
is.
not as motivated as you are, that
So-
deal's not gonna go through.
If one nugget I think all of us understand is pick your customer.
Yeah.
They're not gonna always be the $500,000 customer. Some of them could be 100,000, but if they're the right customer, they're responsive. They're responsible. They respond and they're able to do what they got to do. Man, those are the kind of people you want to work with. Don't try to make magic out of crap.
I agree.
All right, guys. Well, on that note, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Mark, Danny, Jason, Steven, guys, y'all keep up the hard work and continue to be leaders in this office. We look forward to seeing you guys implement everything you learned.
50 million, baby.
Yep. Get it done.